You are listening to the Park Flyer podcast, where we discuss our RC adventures.
Welcome to the Park Flyer podcast, where we discuss the ups and downs of the new RC Flyer. Join your hosts, Michael and Jay, as they take flight at the park. Now on with the show.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Park Flyer podcast. I'm Michael from Arizona, and with me always are my good friends
Jay from the hills of Texas.
And AK Mike in Texas.
and we would like to welcome Shannon Gallagher this week. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey,
Thanks,
Jay.
guys. Thanks for having me.
So, if you were with us the last episode, we kind of finished up our Arizona Electric Festival podcast, and we're talking about some cool stuff. And Shannon had mentioned that he wanted to be a little more involved, and so we would like to have him on a guest. We like to have him as a guest, and so we agreed, and so we invited him to kind of participate with us. He brings a lot to the podcast, so we're excited to have him.
I bring nothing. Absolutely
you know how it is. But he's been a really good supporter of us and a really good friend, and has done a lot for the hobby. So we're glad to have him with us. Safety tip: you guys do anything this week? I've been working on my L39, basically trying to get it ready to maiden. Do you guys fly at all? Anyone?
No, I just remember the one adage: safety third.
Safety third.
Oh, it's first. I'm sorry, I screwed that up.
Okay, so today's safety tip, right? So we've been kind of on this safety tip last time, and I don't know why it's me all the time, but so I was going over everything in my new turbine jet, and this is I'm going from tip to tail, making sure everything's there because it's a lot of it's a crier, a lot of money flying around up there, and here we go. This is the cable that goes from the turbine all the way up to the receiver. And it stretches, kind of the length of the airplane. And so I was going through, one of my lights on the wing wasn't working, and so I was messing around with it, and something shiny poked me, or at least caught my eye. I don't know if you can see right there. You see that?
Yeah.
That is the cable that goes to the turbine that is cut not only once, but twice.
Yikes.
Oh wow!
Yep.
So that shiny part there is actual wire.
Exposed wire. That is correct.
So you should touch those two together, right?
Well, that's the point. If it's exposed wire and something else touches it, then yes, it could short it out, or it could have basically these three wires connect the power to the actual turbine, and then one of them is the signal, and depending on which one this is, whether the power or the signal, I could have lost both. So anyway, that just got yanked out. I have a new one, and but that's what the green tips are to remind me that there's two cuts, and they're pretty substantial. You can kind of see it's not a small. If it was something small, I might be able to repair it, but that's actually missing the whole. It got cut somehow. I don't know why or how.
You just don't get cut somehow. Something caused it. So what's your best guess as to what did
Well,
it?
I mean, I can imagine like if you're moving it around inside, it probably got caught on an edge somewhere and it just opened it up or whatever.
Well, it could have, or it could have been, in transport. It could have come like that. I mean, I don't know.
Could be the fancy scissors.
That's what I was thinking.
It didn't get near my scissors, but it could be. The problem is that this one here is on one end and this one here is on the other. If I opened it up and showed you, one's close to this side and one's close to that side.
But anybody who's watched you long enough, Mike, knows you're talented.
Yeah,
you could do that. You could do either end.
I could cut both ends at the same time.
Is it
sabotage?
sabotage?
It out.
Yeah, maybe sabotage. Yeah.
Wasn't Barry
so
on
anyway,
it today?
safety tip is to make sure you
have a
exactly.
camera. Maybe your wife kind of stumbled into the workshop.
Yeah, no, I doubt it.
Reaches in with some scissors, snip.
Throwing that out there.
You'll stay home now.
I know, right?
Yeah.
No, scissors are for cutting myself, not other.
She accidentally scraped it with her metal credit card that she had.
Yeah, she could have. I'm not really sure what's going on. But yeah, so safety tip of the week for this podcast is to make sure that you double check all your wiring, and make sure that everything is the way it should be, because you never know.
Okay, so I have a question about that real quick.
Sure.
The power is for initial spin up, right? And maybe electronics, I guess.
So it does have a little bit of I call it a FADEC. It's a digital control for the fuel, and it does have a signal for the power. So you have a throttle that sends it. Then you do have a startup sequence, so you've got power for that startup sequence.
I
But
mean, because once it's going, it shouldn't
it's
need power
going.
anymore, right?
That is correct.
Yeah. So the only one would be the
Well,
signal
you
wire.
need power for the igniters.
Oh,
Still
they
got
continue
igniter.
to run. I didn't
Yeah,
realize that.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. They
And there's
continue
not
to
like a
spark.
magneto sort of a thing that
No,
goes on. Okay, got it.
no. You still have to burn it, so you still have spark. Even though it will continue to burn, you have to have that because as you go from full throttle to no throttle, you got less, fuel air, and so the little spark continues to keep the flame going. Now, I think at some point when you start it, it does two. It's got two rings that do double, and then one will fall off, and it'll just do the one. So I think it alternates between the two. That way, you're constantly having, something going. Now, like a real jet doesn't have that. You would turn those off once you started the motor because it's, kind of doing its own thing. So, but anyway, and then I guess yeah, that's our safety tip for this week. So.
Well, the
glad
only
it's
other
in
safety
turn
tips that
changing
I have for
faster.
the week, I've been dealing with a
Yeah.
chainsaw, so that's not going to help much. That's all I've been doing is cutting wood this
Oh
week.
yeah.
Yeah. Since that
Is it a
ice storm
flying
here in
chainsaw?
I was
Texas.
gonna say, do you have all your digits?
Most
Do you
of
have all
them.
your
How much
digits?
wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood?
That's
There you
pretty
go.
much it. That's pretty much
That's
it.
funny. That's funny. All right, wear gloves.
Yeah. Wear gloves. Wear safety.
Well,
eye
Shannon, you said
safety.
you had eye safety and gloves. That's about right. Shannon, you said you had a project you were working on real quick.
Yeah, I got a one of those Motion RC, the AL37, and it was a second hand, but I'm repainting it as a P8, the Poseidon,
Oh, nice.
and I guess I have the world's worst compressor because it would not
How bad
hold
is it?
like the pressure long enough to paint. Oh, it's pretty bad. So no safety tip: make sure your air supply is plentiful because otherwise you'll have lousy paint
There
coming
you
out.
go.
So, but
Well, I mean, my compressor is
that's better than what I got.
Like,
Come on over. You can be my compressor. There you go.
Well, if it's any consolation, the new shop is done, and I do have like right at the end of this table is an air hose. So I got an 85 gallon in the back
Oh,
there that
wow.
was just running. Actually, you probably heard it, but I've got more than enough air, 175 psi, which you don't
wow.
really even closely need.
Yeah, and you're like
But I will tell
40.
you that you need at least 35 to 40 if you're airbrushing.
Yeah.
But I will tell you that my system is set up where it is the driest air that you will ever find.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You live in the
Yeah, I put
desert.
a filter
What are
in.
you talking about?
Oh no. Mine is not only filtered, but it's cooled as well.
Oh, geez.
So just real quick, the way the compressor works is when the engine's turning or the motor's turning, it's pumping hot air into the tank. And that hot air is very super hot, like 300 something degrees. As it expands, it cools and water vapor comes out, which is why if you go on YouTube, you'll find guys that have water in their tank after 10 years of using it. They never drain it. You're supposed to drain it all the time. So what I did is I had a custom hose come out. So now it comes out at 342 degrees. It turns a corner and goes into a pre-cooler that does 16 turns around a what is it? It's transmission cooler. So the air comes in, it does 16 turns to a transmission cooler that uses the fan of the compressor to blow air through. So it's cooling as it's making these turns, and it's also water separating. Then it comes out, goes through a water separator, then it goes into the tank and expands. So that's already dry coming into the tank. That fills up and comes out and goes in through a water separator again, and then comes out the other side. So my auto body jet guy that I fly with was like, "Holy smokes, you have really done over." He goes, "I paint cars for a living. I don't even have that good of a system."
Yeah, we're not worthy. You
So yeah, well,
that's awesome.
I don't know. It was overkill. Jay and I, it's Jay's fault because he's the the enabler, and he kept throwing me stuff. Hey, look at this. Hey, you should do this. Hey, here's a YouTube video, and I just put them all together. He's like, no, I only meant for you to use one, but you used them all.
Wow.
So I was like, oh, well, I didn't know I was supposed to use just one. I thought they were all together. So yeah, it is super dry air coming out of there. So my airbrush, it's the first time ever I've never had water come out of the the tip after using it for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta have air. So, well, very cool. The Poseidon ought to look good. That's a neat project.
Yeah,
Well, Shannon, what are you going to do to
as I
fix your
get it
problem
done.
though? Shannon's still got a problem. How are you going to fix that? What are you going to do?
Well,
He
no, I'm done
does.
painting. So my solution is going to be get a new compressor, and obviously go shopping where Mike goes.
Right, there you go.
Watch all his
No,
videos
don't-
and go from there. So
Just go over to Mike's house.
I can't. Are you sure you really
Yeah,
want me
just
on
come
this
on over.
podcast? Because I'm kind of like below you guys, at least in
No.
technology wise here. So
Nah, you can just come
Well,
over.
like I said, my compressor is,
yeah.
Just
me blowing into a straw. So
There we go. Yeah, I probably would have been better.
I think that's 20 pounds.
Yeah,
Woo.
that's
Yeah,
pretty close.
that was
to
close.
Yeah,
He
good
gets a
enough.
big swig full of paint and just right through
Yeah.
the straw.
And just make sure you lay plastic down. That was the other thing. Everywhere,
That's
because I got
true.
paint everywhere.
Oh yeah, that's
So-
awful too.
Oh well.
Yeah,
That's
Jay and Mike
crazy.
taught me about a paint booth, which I thought is a really cool idea. I have a old wardrobe box that I have from when I moved, and so you just hang your parts on that, and then spray inside that wardrobe.
Yeah,
box.
this plane's a little too big for most. Like I would need like
No,
an
I
airplane
understand.
paint
I'm just
booth.
saying. Yeah, exactly. But I
Well,
just
did
felt
you
like
paint it
that-
while it was all together?
Yes.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah.
I was gonna say you can get like a little refrigerator type box and cut one side out of it and just hang it up.
Yeah,
You just
I
did the
thought about
fuselage
that. I
and
thought about
stuff.
doing that. And I was going to make one. I've got a bunch of extra PVC. I was going to make like a hang plastic behind it.
Go to your
and clip
neighbor's
it.
house and do it on their driveway.
Well, I did that. They
There you
didn't
go.
like it last time, so I kind of wore my
Big
welcome.
Poseidon
Yeah.
outline on their car. That's funny.
Well, no, there's
Guy pulls in his driveway. What is
there's an
that?
airplane outline on all my neighbors' driveways, so I'm kind of.
It's like
that's where I
it's
am.
on the grass. You're going to cut the grass next week.
We don't
Like,
have
what are you
grass here,
all mad
except for
about?
the artificial turf, and that
That's
doesn't
right.
cut that.
Shrake the
gravel.
rake the
Gravel's
rocks.
what
or
they
something.
have
Rocks, exactly. Just turn them over. It's fine.
Yeah.
I've actually done that, believe it or not. I went out the back and painted something, and then I had this perfect outline, and my wife goes, "What the heck is in our, And I was like, "It's okay." I got the rake and I raked them all out. So a couple of the rocks, if you turn them over, they have some kind of a gray paint on the back sides, gray and blue and white. I think I was painting my L39. It was a perfect outline. So, well, this week we are happy to have Shannon on because we have an event coming up, or it's not my event, but Shannon has an event coming up. It's a Gunsmoke 2003 Scale Masters Qualifier.
Pew, pew,
And
pew.
I know, right? And I have talked to people that actually have been to Top Gun. They've been to, all of the Scale Masters stuff, and they've won awards. I love to build, I've been weathering this airplane, and Jay and I were talking not too long ago, and about this that came up, and I was just like, I don't really know what's entailed in this whole process and what it takes to go to to Top Gun or Gunsmoke or whatever. I don't know if are they together, but anyway,
No, they're separate.
That's kind of
They're
why.
separate.
Okay, they are separate.
Yes.
Okay, so I want you to kind of walk us through what this is, how it comes to be, because at the Electric Festival, a couple of guys were up talking to us, and they were saying, "Oh, are you coming? Or what are you doing?" And I was showing pictures of my L39. They're like, "Oh my gosh, look at all the scale that you've done to it." I'm like, "Yeah, you should come and qualify and do this and do that." And I got to talk to Shannon.
Okay.
So,
well,
welcome on and kind of walk us through.
All right. So, am I the foremost expert on this? No, but I know enough to be dangerous. So
that's all.
Amongst the three of
Let's
us.
put it that way.
You're right. You've got good company.
Yeah. So Scale Masters has been around since the 70s, and it's run currently by Curtis Kieringham, if I said his name right, and then Tim Dickey does a lot of help, and Brian O'Meara. They're kind of the big guys that kind of run it and keep it going. And Tim Dickey is a member of our club, and he's the contest director for this year's event. And Gunsmoke is typically the first of the qualifying events. So how Scale Masters works is they have several qualifying events all over the country, and then they pick one location for the championship. We had it last year here in Arizona, and it was really cool to have that here. We hadn't had it in 20 years, so it was really cool to have that and bring it back. This year, I think it's somewhere in the Midwest. They haven't said the exact place. It's either Texas or Nebraska. I'm not sure which place it's going to be. So they move it around, which is a good thing, I think. Don't want to just kind of. It used to be in California all the time for decades, but it's kind of moving around now. There's several classes, and the classes, that's really what sets the men from the boys apart. There's team, where typically one person builds the airplane, one person flies the airplane. A lot of our local club members do that. Matt Ventura, who does my registration, Gary Bailey, who does my technical stuff. They do team. So Matt built Beechcraft Bonanza and did all the detail work to it, and then Gary Bailey does the flying for it. So that's how that works.
Nice.
Yeah. So then there's other events. There's expert, advanced, and pro-am, pro and pro-am sport. I don't know all of the particulars, but it gets more. It's more detailed as to how much you need to provide as far as documentation about the aircraft, about your building of the aircraft, all of the things that you did. You have to build the plane pretty much from scratch. Is one of the rules. If you bought like an ARF and you showed that you did most of the work to it, basic airframe, that will work for some of the classes. But when you get into the pro, basically you need to start from scratch. Again, you can have a fiberglass airplane, like I think you've got your L-39 is probably fiberglass, right? But if you pretty much need to show that it was bare bones and you put the thing together and you did all the work to it. That's how it usually works.
Gotcha.
But there are like advanced, like I'll give you a perfect example. Spencer Kleinhaus has an F-16 that he bought that had been wrecked, and he redid everything. And we've all seen Spencer's F-16 fly. It's amazing. It's beautiful. And he's done so much work to it. He makes all kinds of custom things for it. And there was some fighting over during the course of Scale Masters as to which class does he fit in. Because he, basically resurrected this from the dead.
Right. Yeah, I was there when we got it.
Yeah,
It,
exactly.
so, yeah.
So I knew you.
It's a zombie class, I think.
Yeah, the zombie class.
It was the zombie class.
That's for the guys that have been around for a long time. So
that's funny.
But so the rules for what you're supposed to do, and then once you've built the aircraft, you provide all the documentation as to which aircraft you've chosen to make it, to model after, pictures. The judges who actually go through some training from experienced judges who've been doing this for many, many years, they're looking for all the minute little details and making sure that the space from the wing root to this is the same, and that the moment from the tail to the wing, to the wing to the tail is the same, and is the windshield the right shape, is the cowl, are the cowl lines in the right spot, are the wheels aligned right? I mean, it's crazy all the detail they go into, but at the same time it's really fun if you think about it, because you're challenged. Maybe the first time you do it, you don't quite get it. Oh, you need to do this. I mean, they're nice about it. They're not like making fun of you. Some people take it that way, but they're not. They're looking at, they're trying to say, did you, this is the best looking plane of to scale of this one. And then they also then judge on the actual flying of it. So you come up with a routine, the types of aerobatics that the aircraft would do, how well you take off, how well you land, how precise are your turns, if you do a roll, is it straight, is it you do a loop, all those things they look at, and they judge them on it. So it's really cool. I mean, is it the most exciting thing to watch? No, but if you're competing, you're really focused and you're really into it. And I really admire the guys that spend all the time, doing this. I'd love to spend more time to be able to do it. I'm just happy to get a plane like, my P8 painted and some stickers on it and go fly it. And okay, it looks cool in the air, but these guys really, really, really do it. Perfect example, Tim Dickey is building a Waco, the one with the cabin, like I forget which one, but it actually has a cabin, not just the open air.
Right.
He built the thing. He's built it from scratch. He got the plans, like from the Smithsonian, the original plans of the original Waco. He got a copy of the plans, and then he's building the plane off of those plans.
So when he got the plans, that's for the full scale.
Yes. So he scaled it down.
So then he had to scale them down.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, and if you go look at his Facebook page, I mean, the detail he's putting. He's got one of the Robart 7-cylinder radial engines. He's making that engine even look like the engine should look. And that's because it sticks outside of the airplane. And so even like the metal work, he learned how to weld. aluminum. And he's using carbon fiber and composites in certain areas, but it's building it like a real airplane, to where you're going to be hard pressed to realize that it's a radio controlled airplane compared to the real one. And a lot of guys,
Wow.
not all the guys do that to that degree, but just watching him do this,
Right.
it's amazing.
Right.
So,
So like, do they have a class where you get a really cool builder like Mike building this awesome plane, and they get a numbskull like me to fly it?
that would be
Like, if
team.
I can leave it in, if I can fly, yeah. But I mean, like, we get extra points because I'm such a numbskull flyer. Like, if I can keep it in the air for 2 minutes, then that's.
They're wanting you to have a pretty high level
okay.
of.
All right. So they're more snooty.
A little
is
bit,
what you're
yeah,
saying.
yeah. I mean, this is
yeah.
this.
Yeah, and they actually even make you have a turbine waiver. So imagine
Yeah.
that, Mike.
But one of the things
Okay.
we're doing this year, at least for Gunsmoke, Gunsmoke is a local club event. It used to be the Scale Masters would actually rent the field from us and pay us a fee for that. But what we did is we kind of took it back as an event, so we're not charging rent. Tim Dickey, he's a member of our club. He's running as a CD, so it's actually saving the Scale Masters some money. Helps us actually generate more money for parking, things like that. We don't get a lot of. It's not as big as AEF. It's not quite as big as it used to be. We used to have, it was really cool back in the day, was we would have judging at the Champlin Fighter Museum. We would actually go in one of the hangars, and they'd set all the airplanes up. So basically, you got to go to the museum for free if you were part of Scale Master. It was really cool. This is back in the day.
That's cool.
And we tried to do more with the Confederate Air Force to kind of be part of it. And yes and no, they do some things with us. Some things we can't get them to let us have the hangar to do it, but still we're trying. Maybe one of these years. But just the fact that this year it's a club event, and we're having a class that is just for Arizona. So if you're an Arizona native and you're participating, you can participate in all of the classes you want. You just got to pay for it. But there's one that's kind of like, okay, as long as you show up, you have a somewhat scale airplane, and you fly it, there's a prize for being in the club, or local member, and just coming out and trying it out to get people more interested in it. So that's really one of the cool things that we're doing this year is, we want to get more people, and we've been having seminars where people come out to the field and we show them, here's what we're doing for the flight judging. Here's what we're doing for the static judging. So we're getting a lot more interest by just saying, hey guys, we want you to come out and do this. Because for a long time, this was kind of a, members only, kind of like the Friars Club of RC. If you think about it, you got to have a jacket and everything, but and the jacket's a really expensive airplane.
Yeah, and no doubt.
So
now that's kind of part of what you're thinking. I know it says entry fee waived for first time competitors, so that's what you're talking about. You get that extra. Okay.
Yeah.
So that if you just had something to come out and get participate.
Yeah, and I was really kind of getting into it. I got so busy with AEF and finishing up, with the club stuff I was working on. I really didn't get the chance to sit down and do what I was wanting to do with this. So maybe next year I'll do it. But just the interest to see guys coming out and saying, hey, I want to do this. And there's a few people that have done it before, and again, they got away from it because of just time and whatever.
Life gets in the way.
Yeah, they're seeing this. Oh, I can get back in and have some fun with it, and then maybe take it up to the next level, and then the next level as it goes on.
So just the clarification. It looks like all of those things, the 5 classes you talked about, there's a fee for each class, or it's just a.
Yeah, it's a fee for each class.
Because you would have one airplane in each class.
Yeah, so each class you compete in, and it's like it's not as much for each one. So it's like you pay so much for the first one, and then it's discounted. Most guys do like 2 or 3 classes, at least of the higher level ones.
Really?
Yeah.
So they have 2 or 3 airplanes, or it's the same
2 or 3
airplane
different
in each
airplanes.
class? Yeah. Oh, no kidding. Wow.
So there's a couple guys that do that.
Now, that's some serious work if you're putting 2 or 3 or 4.
Yeah, it really is. And some guys are they're better at they have a plane that just fits. Okay, it looks like the airplane. I got a picture of it. It works, and then they fly it a little better than the other guy. That's vice versa.
So another question I have is because I know some of the guys you're talking about, and I've seen their airplanes, and their airplanes are phenomenal. but do they resubmit it again next year, or do they? Is this a process where every year they have to have a new airplane?
No, lots of the guys will keep using the same aircraft over and over, and based on whatever they were scored on in their static scores, they'll improve. They'll try to make an improvement over the like. I remember Matt Ventura got dinged for his paint wasn't quite right, so he went and he repainted it, and I think they still dinged him for his paint not being right. but he made the attempt to make it better. So
to fix it, right. So now, kind of walk me through a little bit of the judging, because I mean, I've burned up a couple of mechanical pencils, putting all my rivets in place and doing some of that kind of stuff. But are they looking for things that like it's brand new out of the showroom, or are they looking for things that it's been sitting there? Because in my thought process with this L-39, it's a Russian airplane. It sits out side. The paint's chipping off of it. I mean, there's little things that I'm doing to make it look greasy and muddy and used, that kind of thing. And I know when I was helping Spencer that the guy that was competing in something similar was putting like boot marks, like somebody was walking around on the wing. He took a little
the more realistic as if it's flying today. That's kind of what you're looking like. Not showroom, just picked up the keys from Cessna. But if it's a plane that's flying or to the point where it flew, what kind of is there oil dripping off of it? Is there a dent that was left for whatever reason in the fuselage? Those kind of things, that if they see those kind of details, they're like, oh wow, I get that. Even the cockpit combing, how close does that look to the real stuff? Things like that. So the more realistic the better, as far as.
But having said that, obviously, if you're building a Waco from 1940, it's not going to look like a 1940 airplane. It's going to look like it's brand new,
unless you want to weather it to that, to what what the pictures you've submitted. It should look just like the pictures you've submitted, basically.
Oh, so if you have a picture of one that's already
it has to be based on an existing real airplane. That's the other thing. So I apologize if that wasn't clear, but it has to be based on an existing real aircraft.
Gotcha. Yeah, you probably made that clear. I just didn't make the connection until you said it. So, well, that makes a lot more sense now. So, especially if I had a picture of a brand new Waco out of the factory, it would have to.
And they're judged from a distance, so it's not like they can't really walk up and get down to the nitty gritty. But the distance is enough that if you can see where it should be and the dimensions are what they should be, that's what they're looking at.
So if I had a picture of this old, jalopy sitting in a field, grown up with corn, knowing that it wouldn't fly, I could probably win because I could build that, right? And then I would have Mike fly it because he would just like toss it and let it crash again.
That'd be an interesting
how much realistic can you get?
That'd be interesting to see how
so
that
like
would
a diorama. Here's a
That's
picture
exactly
of the
what it'd be,
airplane
a
in the
diorama.
cornfield, and here's my diorama.
And here's Mike flying it.
Yeah, I think the essence of it is they want a flyable scale aircraft. So
that makes more sense.
Good try though. Good try.
Well, I don't want to be indelicate. I know we got to kind of wrap it up, Mike. But Shannon, I wanted to ask you. So you were the president for the club that you're. And so, is that over with now?
Right. So I'm no longer the president. I'm no longer the president. I'm a board member. I'm just on the board, so I still attend like the board meetings and things. And I'm still the contest director for as long as I want to be for AEF. So that's kind of what I'm going to focus on going forward into the 20th anniversary. So I'm still
great.
Have a little bit to do with the club, at least through the rest of this year, as far as running the club. We'll see. I might do something else other than president. There's secretary. There's, I might be VP again. Who knows? Sure. But at least be on the board probably for the future.
But you've officially passed the torch.
Yes. So Gary Porter is our current president, and I've had a couple of club meetings. He actually had one this weekend. So
very cool. Very cool. Well, we're looking excited. When is the
it is March 31st and April 1st. So that's one of the first events with the 2-day format, and people were kind of wondering, well, usually Gunsmoke, Scale Masters qualifiers are 3 days, but they're going to literally squeeze everything in. They're going to do the static and the flying at the same time. They're going to have simultaneous lines. So Used to be guys would come in on Friday.
So that's another reason why I can't fly, because I would take too long to get it all set up. And,
You got a time frame. It's kind of like pass an inspection. You got to have a time frame. Go.
3 minutes, go. Oh man.
Yeah. Well, if you are in Arizona and you would like to go to the Gunsmoke 2023 Scale Masters Qualifier, March 31st through April 1st, it is at the
Superstition RC Airport.
It's not Superstition RV. I got mine on the brain. Superstition RV Superstition RC Park, and you can
RV too.
RC and RV parks.
Yeah.
Downstairs. And if you have any questions, you can give Tim Dickey a call. It's 480-540-7553, or email him at tdickey2@icloud.com. And they can get you in touch with.
He is so into this that I'm really glad he kind of latched on to take over this, because the Scale Masters itself has had its ups and downs over the years. I think we're definitely back on the up, and Tim's been a big part of that, along with Curtis and Brian O'Meara. They keep the torch going. So, kudos to them.
Well, Brian, I've seen Brian O'Meara's collection.
Brian's legendary,
phenomenal. Yeah, so just actually showing up to see his planes is amazing. I've seen a ton of them, and they're just unbelievable.
And he'll sell you a car too.
I know he will. Yeah, he'll sell you a car. He owns a few dealerships. Well, we are glad you joined us this week. If you are looking for us, you can find us at the Parkflyer Podcast at gmail.com. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and give us a thumbs up and subscribe. That helps us. And we'll probably wrap it up here for this week. I would love to have Shannon on more often.
I love being here, guys. So. I'm like the fifth Beatle, right. I guess. Fourth Beatle in this case, but
fourth in this case.
I'm the fourth BG.
Let's see.
That's what I said.
There you go. All right. Well, I'm Michael from Arizona,
and I'm Jay from the hills of Texas,
and I'm AK Mike,
and I'm Shannon G.
There you go, Shannon G. Welcome. All right. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Let's fly.
You have been listening to the Park Flyer Podcast. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to your next visit. Please give our show a star rating and review, and feel free to email us your questions, topics, or suggestions to parkflyerpodcast@gmail.com.